Figure 4 Radio.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Figure 4 Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. I'm the Mastermind Ollie Spring. I'm joined by Luke-O-Mac.
Hello.
And today we've got a very special guest in the form of Hustle Malone.
Yo, what's up?
So, we invited Mr. Malone over today, or just to kind of chat a little bit. There's a few things we want to cover. And I know Luke's been doing some research as well.
I did.
On your work. That's not true. You're like the new me. You research way more than me. Firstly, we've known you. I've known you for years now. First, I'm curious. You started off taking photos, like doing videos of matches. How did you kind of get involved in that side? Like, were you a wrestling fan before all that? And then how did you then move into actually training, being a wrestler, being in matches? You've had some quite high-profile stuff, and to say that, we knew as a photographer a couple of years ago, now you're in these massive matches with quite big stars. How did you go from A to B?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. So I was always into film, always a filmmaker and a videographer, like by trade. And then, after taking these photos for a while, you get to know everybody that's on the roster, you get to know everybody's moves, and you get to see things intricately. When people are calling moves in the ring, like, you're close enough to hear it. When you see people doing chain wrestling, you're close enough to see the tiny little intricacies in what they're doing and stuff. And then, the way I got involved in filming and following the wrestling and stuff is I think somebody just put an advert on Facebook.
Simple as that.
And they just said, like, does anybody know any videographers? Because the company I used to film for, they didn't have one before then. It was like, when the referee wasn't refereeing, he'd sit in the crowd with his iPhone.
Yeah. No, that's terrible. It's awful, isn't it?
That's
really?
it. Well, businesses move, like, as they go along. Yeah. I started there, just applied for it, went along, did that, ended up videoing for a couple of other companies, Hope Wrestling, WrestleForce and stuff, just by having my stuff out there. And then, myself and Christian, who's known as Chase Williams.
Chase, yeah.
He was a referee, and we said, can I swear on this, by the way?
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. So we said, yeah, fuck it. Let's go along to training and have a look. And what was good is, obviously, we knew everybody that was at the training because, we've been working with them for so long. Training for a while, got really addicted to it. And, I've known Christian for about 10 years now. And we've always joked, because he was my first friend in Leighton Buzzard, because I moved there from East London.
Okay, yeah.
He was my first friend that knew that, like, watched wrestling regularly.
So you were a fan before you kind of got into it?
Years and years. That's cool. And then, because I moved to Leighton Buzzard in year 11, which is like the worst time to move, because everybody's already got their mates.
That's it. Yeah. Everyone's set in.
That's it. And like, me and him instantly like clicked together. We're both massive fans of wrestling, and we always used to joke like, "Oh, mate, when we're tag champions one day, like, you just wait." And now it's crazy. Yeah, now it's crazy seeing what it's become and being able to introduce ourselves to people and be like, "Yeah, professional wrestler."
So what's it been like actually becoming a wrestler? Because like, I'm a wrestling fan, but I know I physically couldn't do it, if that makes sense. Like, I know I couldn't take the bumps. I haven't got the fitness. I just wouldn't be able to do it. What's it been like making that transition from kind of fan to performer?
It's a lot of proving yourself wrong. So for example, just before we came on air, we were talking about Will Ospreay.
Yes.
And we had him down our training school a little while ago. And I asked him like a general question. He's like, "What do you want to learn?" I was like, "Some strike stuff would be good." and he's like, he shows me some stuff, and he throws a kick, and his foot is like resting like on the trap, like on my neck.
Yeah.
And you kind of going into your own head, and you're like, "Man, Will Ospreay just kicked me in the head. Like, this is kind of crazy." A little while ago, and in the same session, like, he was doing high flying stuff. Now, I'm not a high flying wrestler. I'm aggressive. I'm violent. Closest thing would probably be like Bray Wyatt, which doesn't help with the promo comparisons anyway.
Yeah.
But that's the closest thing to my style. And he's just like, "Come on, guys, everybody give a Hurricanrana a go. Come on, this is it." Like, he's like, the hardest part is the basing bit. So I'll base you for it, and then you're absolutely fine. And I'm like, right, he's taking 10,000 Hurricananas. And then you do one, you land it, and he goes, "Great." And you're like, "Wait, I did that? No way did I do that." And some moves just come to you naturally. Some styles come. Sometimes there's moves that you can do, but you don't do because it doesn't make sense to the context of the match or the context of your character. Yeah. So, it is a lot of like, first you say to yourself, "Oh man, it's going to be like," because I heard from some wrestlers it took them 2 years to get on shows. Other wrestlers, it took them, 5 months to get on shows.
Yeah.
And you start saying to yourself like, "Oh man, this isn't right and this isn't right." Honestly, I would say calm down and I think this is the thing. When you learn piano, right? I went out with a girl once who was amazing at piano, and I said to her, I want to learn some piano, like just for some fun. And I was like, how long until I can play a song? And she was like, well, if we practice like once a week, like, I don't know, maybe like 6 months. And I was like, 6 fucking months? That's fucking forever.
That's exactly why I gave up piano when I was 10, because I was bored of learning scales. I wanted to learn songs.
That's it.
And then I taught myself guitar, and the first thing, do I learn scales? Fuck no. I learned songs. You want to have fun with it.
Just hit Tab King online and just...
That's exactly it. Yeah.
That's it. In most disciplines, there's no way to get an easy victory up front.
Yeah.
Right? It is like... fucking, eat shit and do the Mr. Miyagi way, and then like 10 years down the line you can do something very simple after 10 years.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about wrestling is because there's so many different things. There is chain wrestling and technical wrestling. There is rope running in sequences. There is learning just literal one-off individual moves. There is learning psychologies and promos and stuff like that. Because there's all these different areas, you can walk away from a session, anybody can, and come away with a victory. So we had a session a little while ago. We had how old was she? 9-year-old girl come in.
Wow.
And you compare her with some of the giants that we've got down there, like that can be daunting. But while one group was doing one thing over here, I took her to the side and started teaching her clotheslines. And her dad was like filming on her phone. And the dad kept looking at me weird. And I was like, why does the dad keep almost like he recognized me, like just giving me like a little tiny like half wave. Yeah. And I realized later on that they'd come to the show the week before. So he recognized me as the big bad guy from the show.
Yeah.
And now he's got footage on his phone of her, like, she clotheslines me.
9-year-old daughter taking out the big bad guy from the week. Yeah.
I had to, like, get on my knees because she was so small. But she gave me the clothesline, and I, like, bumped the hell out of it. And I'm, like, holding my back and holding my head. I'm like, and, like, and they're loving it. And in the same way, like, I spoke to a friend of mine, Ryan, who's actually my trainer at the minute. We were in a pub just talking about wrestling, and he was like, oh, I'd love to give it a try. And I was like, stand up. I'll teach you some wrist locks. I'll teach you some headlocks. Yeah. And by all means, I'm not the most experienced guy in the world.
But you've been to a few lessons. You've learned a few things.
That's it. Yeah. You can pick up stuff as you go along. So I think that has been I don't know how many times me and Team Mad have sat around and gone like, this is way too quick that this has happened. Like we did Kings of Flight a little while ago, and in that room was Jigsaw, Will Ospreay, Chuck Taylor. Jake McCluskey, Pete Dunne, El Ligero, Ryan Smile, all these amazing people. And we're just sitting there looking around, and I'm sitting next to Gaz, who's Danny Mayhem, and I'm sitting next to him, and I'm just like, we don't belong here.
So, how long was the initial, right, I'm going to start training into, right, we've got a match, and now we're on this run? What was the time scale for you? Like you said, some people it's 10 years, some it's 5 months. What was your...
With a lot of trainees, sometimes it depends on where.
Yeah.
So the first school I trained at, we covered basically the same 2 things 10,000 times.
Yeah.
So my other areas of my game never really improved. And then when that school closed, it was a little bit like hitting the reset button at the new place.
Okay.
But, there was a couple of things I could take away with me. And even if it is just like, I'm a bit calmer getting into a ring because I've done this before.
Yeah.
So I'm a little, I'm not freaking the hell out. I can remember my moves and remember what I'm doing now. Yeah. Altogether, I would say, if you don't count the fact that the first place was a bit crap.
We don't talk about them too much these days.
Outside of the odd good trainer, like Shane Summers used to come down and stuff like that. That was very helpful. Outside of instances like that and the break in the middle, I think I started training in January and I made my debut in November.
January this year.
Well, it's not last year.
Last year to November.
Oh, sorry, yeah. It's been a long
so
day.
Technically 11 months, but then again, Ashley Dunn, who trains at the school, who's phenomenal, just had an amazing match going around the world with Will Ospreay.
Is he established? Because I watched the Will Ospreay match, and I don't think I've heard of Ashley Dunn before. Is he like new, or is he? Because there's no way he's a new guy, though, right?
Well, this is the thing. He tells people that he's only been training since January.
Yeah.
And Ashley, I think the world of Ashley's talent.
That match blew me away.
Right,
yeah, absolutely.
That could have travelled just as much as the fucking Ricochet one with Ospreay. Ash did backyarding kind of stuff before, and has interacted with the likes of Ospreay and Pete Dunne and Flash Morgan Webster before. But at the same time, he's like, that doesn't count. It only starts when I'm in a proper school and in the proper way to run ropes and stuff like that.
Well, backyard wrestling, you don't have ropes, so.
Well, I think they did. I've seen some clips here and there.
Well, that's like next level shit.
But even if it is just the fact that it calms you the hell out. So I did like even when I was early on in wrestling, I did a battle royal, and the battle royal was like me, 2 guys who'd been on shows, Cy Gregory, who's awesome and the loveliest guy.
Was this in Leighton Buzzard by chance?
No, this was in Milton Keynes at Joey's Inn.
Okay.
And then like I think it was like 6 trainees all making their debut at once, and everybody's backstage and everybody's
was that
like,
your debut as well?
No, this was when was this, like March or something like that.
I think I might have been at that show. Was that the one? Did Andy Rain appear in that one?
No.
Okay, maybe not.
That was the one on the first show with like 30 guys.
Yeah.
This one only had like I think like 12 guys.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's like me, 2 guys who are kind of experienced, Cy Gregory, who was kind of like leading the match, and then 6 guys all making their debuts, and everybody's kind of freaking out a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh man, what do I do? Like, I'm trying to remember spots, and I'm like, don't plan fucking spots for a fucking 12-man battle royal, like Jesus. And the one thing, like, I think somebody was like, oh, I need to make sure I get my character across, and I said, I'm pulling this number completely out my arse, but you have to spend 2 hours as your character before you just chill. So like before that, I used to like get psyched up before the music plays, and I put my head down and like I think of certain things when the music, because it's a long ass intro in my song. It's like 35 seconds, gets me proper in the zone. And then that day I just went, all right, and then just fucking went through. And I think it helped doing the promos because even if it is just there's 20 minutes, like if I did a couple of takes, there's 20 minutes. I got to be that character for a little while.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put your head into that mind. It doesn't take as long to get into the mind state of that.
Because earlier on, me and Luke were talking. Obviously, I know your background as a motivational speaker. I know all about you got this, bro. Obviously that helps you as to be a motivational speaker outside of wrestling to then come inside. How much of that do you bring with you in your promos and in your promos and on camera or in the ring? How much has that helped you to be Hustle Malone?
I think it helps a lot in terms of stuff like projection, and one thing a lot of people do is when they start out, they cut promo towards the crowd and they just look at a sea of bodies. I would rather look at an individual person and be like, right, that fat kid in the blue shirt in the back row, he will leave being pissed off with me.
Essentially have to direct it to someone to make it feel a bit more, not personal, but kind of
it's
like
it's tiny tweaks. The most interesting thing in the world to me is just people. Okay. People are interesting as hell. So I love reading books on body language. I love reading books on man to woman communication, all that kind of stuff. And even if it is just projection, like I can't hear your promo, or like you're moving around too much, and tiny little tweaks that
things like that. I picked up on that with some people as well. Like if you're standing in the ring and you want someone to listen to you, don't be pacing around nervous and like don't keep your head down and just walk around in a circle. You stand there like strong, shoulders up, fucking chin up. Tell everyone what's going on. Don't just mumble and stroll around in a circle.
That's it. Yeah. And when somebody says it to you afterwards, you're like, oh yeah, of course. But like,
you just click. It's like autopilot, isn't it? You just don't think. But yeah.
I think because before I did the motivation stuff, I used to do little like comedy sketches and stuff on YouTube, and I think that helped more than anything. Number one, you get used to like attention being on you.
Yeah.
Number two, you get used to like the YouTube community, and by that I mean.
They're all a bunch of us.
Fuck them. Yeah.
Trolls and more trolls.
Great being a heel. Yeah, just fuck them, right? It's very helpful because I found out a stat a while ago that says within 30 seconds of a YouTube video, 70% of a YouTube audience is tuned out.
Yeah.
Right? That's a massive ass number.
Huge.
So that's why in my promos, if I've got to make one up on the spot, I make sure I get a great first line and a great last line. And in the middle, I just emote the shit out of it and just
that's it,
stuff like the one that's been going around recently for my open challenge. That one I was able to take a little bit more time of, and I'm like, right, this will be a line that you remember. This will be an important piece that you'll remember. But we did a training exercise at training the other day, which was he gave everybody G Money's one of our coaches, great wrestler. He was giving everybody a target for their promo each. Okay. For mine, he said like, I want you to cut a promo. You've left Team Mad and you're in a handicap match against the 2 other guys. He's like, everybody's got 3 minutes to plan their promo, go. And I'm sitting there trying to come up with something cool because like he'd made a joke about like, all right, here's Lee's one now, like thinking walk in the park, and I'm like, right, it's got to be good now because he said that. And then every other fucker in the room comes up to me, is like, so how's your weekend been? You all right? And I'm like, I ain't gonna come up with nothing, guys. That's it. So I was like, cool. I'll come up with a cool first line. I'll emote the shit out of the middle. Catchphrase. Done. That's it.
So obviously promos is a big thing for you. I think we said off air, that's kind of what's setting you apart from what I've seen, at least every other. I don't think I've seen any other wrestler put a promo out there apart from, I think I've seen one from Joseph Connors, and that's it. I mean, I don't follow an awful lot of wrestlers, but I follow a lot of wrestling. Why don't you think promos are promos in the sense of camera work, to promote a match, not promo like in-ring promos. Every heel anywhere will just jump on the mic and tell the crowd they smell and get mild heat. As far as like pre-match promos, why don't you think that's being exploited? Because surely the day and age we're in now, Facebook, Twitter, surely there's got to be a million opportunities for people to take advantage of it. Why aren't they? What do you think the problem is, like, with 99% of wrestlers?
I think the first part might be a limiting belief. People might just say, like, oh, I don't have the good enough technology for it, or like, I'll just be on my fucking shitty phone. I don't know how to edit or whatever. So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right.
That's a fair point.
Which I absolutely get. On the other hand, one of my favourite phrases from motivation is, you'll never be successful until you do more with the ball out of your hands than when it's in your hands.
Yeah.
And the way I think of it is like, 168 hours in a week. Training, like wrestling training, is 6 hours of that. Maybe I'll travel up to Derby once a week, or but even then, like we'll go, all right, maximum there's 160 hours free. What I do with that time will determine my success. So I can train with my trainer, I can eat well, I can watch matches for research, and when I think of stuff like making those videos, I'm like, right, let's say, everybody has a shit session once in a while, right? So if you don't impress your coaches, let's say you have a shit match. So like, I know great wrestlers who go, man, my match tonight was just shit. I don't know what it was. I was just off. Right? Yeah. Which is totally understandable. If I have a shit match or a shit session, I don't want that to be the thought that comes from them. So like, when I'm pissed off in life, I'll go, right, I'm gonna win everybody back, or like, not even that. I'm go, this is who I am. I'm gonna make sure you don't fucking forget who I am. And I'm big into marketing as well. I've seen so many people market badly, like brands, like companies, not just in wrestling, like everywhere, like that are so bad at marketing that I've seen so many wrestling companies who just go, here's the poster, here's the poster, here's the poster, and you're numb to it. And I'm like, damn, like, do you know what I mean? If I'm a wrestler and I'm numb to it, like, these fans don't give a fuck. Like, you could have anyone on the poster, like, free condoms and money. I ain't gonna go. Like, I'm just not gonna pay attention. So, I think it's providing new stuff that's out there, getting people to be aware, like, hey, this is an ability that you've got, cool. If it helps the show, great. Like, that last video, I think it's on like 12,000, 11,000 views or something like that. It would cost money if I said, here's the poster, get me 11,000 Facebook impressions or something. So, in another way, like, all right, I take an hour out my week, I've just done something for the company that's gonna show the company some good. I had a message this week from a woman called Kim who runs Ignite Wrestling in Florida.
Wow. And
she said, hey, are you coming to Florida anytime soon? And I was like, if you're paying, maybe. Like, it wasn't on my morning route, but I can think about it. I can think about it, don't you worry. I had a look at the Ignite like cover photo, and it had Ricardo Rodriguez and Teddy Long. And I was like, oh man, it'd be a dream to be put in a tag match by Teddy Long. What a dream.
His speciality. That's exactly what that is.
I think didn't he book a four-way tag team match like on his first return to Raw recently?
Yeah,
he did.
And then don't get me started on stuff to do with Stephanie McMahon, because nothing makes sense. Nothing does make sense. So I think part of it's belief, part of it is, and I saw a discussion on somebody else's Facebook status, a wrestler's status, and it said, like, somebody was like, oh, why don't more people cut promos? And they're like, well, if I'm getting booked every show for this company, and I'm being paid, my however much I'm being paid for every match anyway, why? Why should I need to? And and by all means, they shouldn't. Do you not think it's a big because every time I watch something like British Boot Camp or any of the WWE like Tough Enough, there's always a section on promos. So they'll say, right, come on, cut me a promo as your character, or they'll say, run the ropes 10 times, drop and give me 10 press ups, then cut me a promo on your next match. And every single time, it's just like watching
someone that wants to be a wrestler fail.
Yeah.
And they always stutter. They always haven't got a clue what to say. No one seems to know their characters. But obviously in WWF, WWE, on TV, it's a very important part. Is there a place for this? So obviously, I think you probably agree that there is, but why don't people? Do you think people don't really take it seriously, like on that level, as far as promos go and talking on the indie scene?
I think finding a character that really works for you, that like really down to your core works for you, is a little bit like, you know what I mean? It's like finding the love of your life that you're gonna get married to.
Yeah.
Like it's very like, bang, you know, and there are like, because the wrestling scene, you know, it is evolving, like it's changing. Stuff like this Will Ospreay Ricochet match, it's showing the direction that things are going in.
Yeah.
And it is possible to have no character and be like, and still be ridiculously successful. That's not to those two at all. Like I think both those two are amazing.
Yeah.
But it is possible to be like, hey, I'm fucking, you know what I mean? I'm John. Watch me do this amazing thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, I like that fucking guy. Like I watch those matches too, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I think I came from film, so I'm gonna have a love for characters and stuff like that. And you hit the nail on the head about like knowing your character, because before the pay-per-views on WWE, they have this social media lounge.
Yeah.
But they sit down with Kevin Owens, and they ask him some questions, and Kevin Owens is like, I don't give a shit, I'm Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Like, does whatever the hell he wants. Now, no writer is sitting down to script his answer to 5 tweets, but the difference is he knows his character so down
Inside
to the
out.
core.
Yeah.
You can spring anything on him.
In fact, I think we covered this in a podcast a few weeks ago. When Robbie E came over, we were at one of his training seminars, and you know Kai Payne. I think he was kind of asking randomly, like, "You there, Kai? What's your character? Who are you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm a cocky heel. I'm a little bit arrogant." And he was like, "Yeah, but every heel is arrogant. What's your character?" And at the time, I say Kai had only really been doing it a couple of months at this point, so I think he was way out of his depth, but. That one question from Robbie really kind of struck a chord, because there are a lot of people in wrestling that just want to go out and wrestle. They don't. They think it's more about the moves that you're doing rather than your character. It's not a stage show. It's wrestling. Whereas I think there's still a big element of stage and character. It's like a pantomime.
Oh, totally. The comparisons to the circus are bang on.
There you go.
The fact that, if you don't like the strong men, you might like the lions. You don't like the lions, you might like the clowns or whatever. Like, there is something. And the truth of it is even though we all have this perfect image of what we want wrestling to be, everybody who watches wrestling and everybody who takes part in wrestling, they all do it for different reasons.
Yeah.
So I'm coming out soon with a couple of videos that I call them the death and return of Team Mad. And they're basically short little movie scenes, 3-4 minutes. One of them is set in the past, and it's like the creation of how Hustle Malone became Hustle Malone. One of them is going to be like how me and Chase Williams first became a team, and then how we recruited Danny Mayhem. One of them is just, one of them is actually we're using it as a kind of like a dark scene to introduce another guy who's on the roster who wanted help with the backstory. They're just movie scenes, right?
Yeah.
I see this as, this is it's art. Do you know what I mean? That's why I take pride in the promos, because to me it's like, it's like a chef making an amazing cake. It's a form of art. It's not just, oh, what do you want to do for your match tonight? I want to hit a pump handle slam because they're cool, and I've figured out I can do them, and I want to look way fucking buff when I do it. Like, to me, this is what I want, and if somebody else wants something different of it, absolutely, go nuts. And I hope they get what they want out of it the same way I hope I get what I want out of it too.
So with the promos then, do you think that doing the promos by having them filmed and recorded and things like that, do you think that adds to your character? Is that something you feel that most people in wrestling should do, or do you you happy as it is?
I had this discussion with somebody a little while ago that I said, how much can you really take for granted when you're in front of an audience?
Yeah.
Right. I was working a show for LDN in London. Now my character in a sentence is Charles Manson-esque motivational speaker,
right,
or corrupt motivational speaker.
Yeah.
I looked out in front of the audience at LDN and it was like all 4-year-olds. And I was like, they ain't gonna get this. And I was like, I looked at my gear and it was a t-shirt that says I got this, and I had a snapback on, and I was like, cool, today I'm a rude boy. Like that's all I can really get through to a 4-year-old without, and you don't want to be that, all the bad guys get shit for going, shut up, and all the good guys get shit for going, come on. You don't want to be fucking generic Brian Jones or whatever, like.
Yeah.
So you want to do something different. To me, it helps. It's a little bit like when you read the comics and then you watch the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
because it rewards the people who invest more. You'll still enjoy the Marvel movies, even if you don't read the comics at all.
That's me to a T.
That's it. But if you read the comics as well, you're like, or like you hear a character name dropped, you're like, ooh, like that, and
the little Easter eggs and
that's
stuff.
it. That's it. And like, to me, it's like, look, when I come to a show, I don't pretend that somebody already knows me. Again, I don't know where I've got this number from, but I've pulled it out my arse that I'm gonna pretend that an audience doesn't know me until I've performed at that venue for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna say my name every time I go out there. I'm still gonna, drop in hints like words like motivate and motivation as much as I can. But if you've been following along with the videos, you're gonna have something more. Yeah. So, for example, we did a show in Derby where we had a stare down, a completely accidental stare down, which is amazing, with the group 7. Yeah. And like Hope fans were losing their shit because they're like, oh, holy fuck, like, stable warfare, holy shit, like, and we were seeing shit on Facebook. One of the guys from 7, they were like, we're gonna do a video about it, and we're like, oh, awesome. We were so excited. The next day, now one of the things I do when I have my matches, I have this like crazy fucking body paint all over my body, and it's like black henna. So it stays on me for a week, which is cool because I've never had tattoos before. So it's like, awesome. And then one thing that, like, if you really paid attention, and there were a couple of fans who came from up north to see the Down South show, and then obviously the match went online, is on my arm, I had, when you do like 4 lines and then 1 through it to symbolise 5, I had a 7 on my arm.
Okay.
And only if you'd have watched that the day before would you have noticed, and when you see that you go, oh, holy fuck. So it's that extra little element. So I mean, if you have a very somebody described it as a white meat baby face, just like, hey guys, I'm fucking Brian, I'm gonna do a drop kick. Like if that's your character and there's no more to it, but you don't need to have anything more to it, but if that's what your character is, awesome. Like, or if your character is very straightforward and you get everything there is to get to it, awesome. Like, and you're happy with that. But if you want to play in that playground, like, it can be so much fun, it can be so rewarding. We were introduced up north really slowly, and the idea with it was that, like, we would do promos and then we would jump people, and then they'd show videos during the show and stuff like that. So by the time that we finally turn up, they're hungry.
Yeah.
And they're like when we put out this open challenge thing, this is the first time we're wrestling in Mansfield. We've done jump attacks and we've done promos and stuff, and like somebody commented on it and went, is he wrestling? Like, is he actually wrestling this time? And someone went, it appears so, and they went, awesome. And I was like, I ain't done anything yet.
People already want to see it.
It could be shit, I don't know. Like, but yeah, it's a fun little playground to play in, and like, you start getting excited about the fucking painting that you've made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
We were talking actually earlier, you mentioned Marvel.
Yeah.
We've kind of got, not really a bet, but you've got a...
Yeah, because obviously on your Facebook page, I've got it written down, it says, you're the motivational Merc with a mouth. Yep. And it was, who is, it's a Deadpool reference, so who is your favourite Marvel character? I reckon obviously it's Deadpool.
Oh man. Do you know what? I'll tell you a very small funny story. The other night, for some reason, I was tired after training. I was convinced that there was an Iron Man 4. There wasn't, right? But I'm arguing with my little brother, and I'm like...
Has it already made and released or coming up?
Out. And I was like, I've watched it, I've seen it was alright.
What happened in it?
I'm clearly thinking of 3, the one where there's all the suits.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm trying to convince my little brother, and he was like, absolutely not, you're wrong. And he was like, I bet you $1 million grand. He said that phrase, $1 million grand.
$1 million grand.
So I was like, alright. I was like, cool, alright.
I'll take $1 million grand right now.
I was like, let me get it. So I take my phone, right, and I'm Googling it, and then it sets in that I'm wrong. I'm dead wrong. So I'm like, So I get a random picture of Iron Man, and I'm like, see, promotional photo. And he's just like, fuck you, it's just a picture of Iron Man. And I was like, wait then. I was like, can I find something? What can I find? Like, what can I do? And I found a picture, it was just the same picture of Iron Man, but from behind. And I was like, look, new leaked back pic. So I'm walking around, and now my little brother's just like, yo, you seen that new back pic? You seen that new leaked online exclusive, dude?
I did actually see somewhere that Iron Man 4 was originally in the pipeline, but it got canned.
I'm going to use that.
No, genuinely, I saw an article that was talking about what was going to happen in it and why it was canned because they feel like there's been too many Iron Man movies. Because I thought so. I think I saw this on Facebook. Is will there be an Iron Man 4? Question mark. Clickbait basically. Just click here and it's going to tell you fuck all, but then we're going to try and sell you something else. But yeah, so what, you're an Iron Man, Mark, or are you?
I'm quite an Iron Man fan. Again, he's a fast talker, and he's got cool facial hair.
That's
so
true.
That scores points. True. I was a big fan of the Deadpool movie. I thought that was very good.
Yeah.
I saw Civil War a little while ago. I like the way they're like, the superhero movies are an archetype of itself.
Yeah.
And now they're like, so what was it? Winter Soldier was essentially like an espionage movie.
Yeah.
But just featuring some fucking super guys.
Yeah, it was.
So that was cool. Yeah, I think the reason they might not want to do another Iron Man is because they're like, they need to have one with like a main lead black guy. They need to have one with a main lead woman. And they're like, if you do any more of just like typical standard white male, they're gonna be like, for fuck's sake, guys,
another
like,
one.
We have a queue going, right?
Anyway, so just get back. We've kind of drifted off topic. So you've recently had a match with El Ligero. Is that right?
I'm having a match this Saturday with El Ligero.
But you've recently had the match with El
I don't know what's going to happen yet, though. I know what we're doing. I don't know fully what's going to happen. The thing is, I thought about messaging him and being like, "You got any ideas? What are you thinking?" But I noticed that he's got like 4 matches, and it's like 5 days away.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah.
But you're getting involved with him. Ryan Smile's another guy that you've been going back and forth with.
Yeah.
T-Bone, you've been what's it like, kind of stepping in the ring with these people? Like,
it's very, very weird.
Yeah.
Because so when I first started filming in wrestling, I got a message from Harvey Dale, who runs Hope.
Yep.
And he said, and I knew him originally before wrestling. He ran the bar in Leighton Buzzard that I used to go to.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And I was like, what the fuck's this? And he sent me a message and he was like, hey, can you come and film for my wrestling promotion? And I was like, you run a wrestling promotion? And I went up and the first match had Grado in it. And I was like, holy shit. Oh no, what's going on? And like, I was like dancing as I was filming it. And I was like, this is I didn't expect to dance with Grado today. And then the second match had Jack Jester in it. And I was like, this is very weird.
Yeah. So is this Hope, basically?
Yeah. Hope, that was Evolution 8 back in the day. So crazy stuff. And I've forgotten the question. What was the question?
Like stepping in the ring with these people.
Oh, that was it. So like filming those guys back then, and then like being able to sit in a locker room. Like I filmed something, a little video. Joseph Connors asked me if I can film something for him for a show. Yeah. And this was about a month ago or something.
Was that one of his? A promo?
I think it's to play live on one of the shows. I believe. Yeah. And he's filming it, and there's another kid in the room who's like a trainee, and he's asking me about stuff. And I was like, do you know what's crazy? I used to film this man where he was like a tag team champion with Paul Malin, and he was like, he teamed with Paul Malin. And I was like, he teamed with Paul Malin.
That's how I learned about him.
That's it. And Joseph Connors is like being modest because he's an absolute fucking professional. And like, I was like, this is what's crazy, to look at them, like, to be able to look at them before as like the talent and stuff like that. And now, like, even in November, me and Christian went to an ICW show. Yeah. And had an amazing time, and we shouted some shit and got way more involved than we should have. That's a fucking great story. We can tell that.
No jump in the guardrail there.
Very close. But we did that, and like Jack Jester was like fucking, shouting at the fans and fucking out the fans and stuff like that. And then a couple of weeks ago, we shared a locker room with him.
Wow.
And we were like, that's the fucking guy. Like, like that's a... So yeah, it's surreal and it's weird and it doesn't feel deserved, but I'm just trying to work my ass off to make sure it is.
Awesome. Well, I think that's
the best thing you can do.
That's it. Yeah. I think that's kind of all that would run out of time for today. But this has been awesome, man. Like, I'm really pleased because, like I said, we met you when you were still taking photos in a tiny little sports hall in the middle of Milton Keynes, and now I say you're up against Ligero, Smile, with these people. It's awesome to see you do it and keep making those promos, man, because they're gripping. We were saying, we were talking about it on the way over before you came over, and it's fresh. So I'm glad that someone else is pushing the envelope out there, I guess.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like fucking Jimmy Havoc messaged me the other day, and he was saying like these are great and stuff, and I was like, look, I mean, I think Progress is the only place that does actually do little ones, but I don't know if that's the company getting the videographer and being like, yo, Brian, go do a promo with the guy. And I remember watching them and being like Jimmy Havoc's one, he would have like a knife with blood on it, and there'd be some, fucking beef on the table that we're using as like human flesh. And I was like, this can be more than that. And I don't know. Sorry if you were trying to wrap up, but it's something I just want to put out. Like, in my opinion, wrestling promos are done. Right? Like everybody's heard in Dunstable Leisure Centre, you got lucky. Yeah. But this time, I'm gonna beat you, and they all say it. They say everything in full.
I know the exact video you just quoted, and it was awful.
It's just I'm not even. Do you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Randy Orton, because Randy Orton says everything in the most amazing detail. He's like, John Cena, I will beat you at WWE Payback on the WWE Network for $9.99 for the WWE World, and I'm like, a week has gone by, mate. For fuck's sake.
I don't like Randy Orton. I just put that out
That's
there.
It. Not a fan. He's the ultimate explainer. That's the best name you can fucking have. But like, to me, that's why I was like, I don't need to fucking pack the video with an advert, because if they've seen my video, it's going to be on my page, or it's going to link to my page.
Yeah.
And if they're going to go to my page, then they'll see the fucking link to the event and all that shit as well. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Don't insult. If they're smart enough to be able to watch the video on the page that it was on, and it wasn't like nicked and fucking put somewhere else, they're smart enough to know what the shit is and be able to find that stuff. So wrestling promos are, to me, they're done. You got lucky, you know. Oh, I'll beat you next time or anything like that. Maybe I've watched too many good people's promos and seen people do a really good job, and now I'm being like a fucking snob about it or something like that. But like, why not tell an original story? And I look at Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about him, man, is like, when if he's cutting a promo against John Cena, he doesn't just go like, John Cena at SummerSlam. No, he starts off with like, when I was a boy, I had a dog. And when he starts that, I'm like, where are you going with this, mate?
It's intriguing stuff. He draws you in.
That's it. Yeah. And I think that might be a public speaking thing. Like, I always try and start mine with a story or a fact, or like I did a promo for Leighton Buzzard a little while ago, and it was me talking about what is scary and what's not scary.
That's the one, yeah.
Do you know how I fucking wrote that promo? I was on Reddit, I went to Shower Thoughts, and I found 4 random quotes that were like, one of them was like, did you know every hand that you've ever touched has had a penis in it? I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then like, I found 4 of them, and then I separated them and then reorganized them, and then put a little bit at the start and a little bit at the end, and I was like, now it's a story. Now I'm making you look at yourself a little bit, like, and it's trying to get away from the biggest architect that is there. Like, wrestling promos are, name the venue, say why you're fighting or whatever it is. But one of my favorite public speaking quotes, it's by Maya Angelou, and she says, no one remembers the things that you did or the things that you said, they only remember the way that you made them feel. And that's why the beginning line and the ending line are so important in a promo, because like, the beginning line, make sure that you watch the whole promo, because just because somebody clicked on it don't mean they're going to watch the whole fucking thing. And the last line is super important, because when it ends, I don't want it to end on World Heavyweight Championship, because that's fucking boring. I want it to end, it cut to black, and you go, whoa, or like, fuck, or something like that. That's a feeling, like, that's a genuine feeling just coming out your mouth without like.
It's kind of what I had when I watched your last one, to be honest. Like, I was like, wow, that is.
Appreciate that, man.
That's the nail on the head right there. Yeah.
That's all I wanted. Like, no fucking fade to black, no poetic shit. Just like, hit you and then I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, just trying to make people feel something that is so hard to find, I suppose, in wrestling, because I mean, everything we see on TV, it is kind of like, this is how you do it. You name them, and I understand why they do it, so that you know, when they make their video packages, they know how to say like, oh, he said at Payback here, awesome, I'll use that. Like, so I get why they do it that way, and they've got the video editors to do their shit there. But here, like I said, it's the ball is out of my hand if I'm not at training, so I want to prove that, you know what I mean, I can still have an impact on how far I go and how people see it and stuff like that.
That's cool, man. Well, I wish you all the best. Look forward to seeing you in the ring. I'm sure we'll link some matches or stuff that's coming up when we release this. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Thank you.
And there we have it, folks. Hustle Malone live on Figure 4 Radio. What a gent. It's a pleasure to have him in the studio for the night. Of course, be sure to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/Figure4Radio. There's our website where we have new Mastermind blog posts as well as other bits and bobs up there for your enjoyment. That's figure4radio.weebly.com. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram at Figure4Radio, and of course, you listen to the podcast now, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on Podomatic, so check it out. But for Luke-O-Mac and the Mastermind Ollie Spring, we will see you next time on Figure 4 Radio.
Figure 4 Radio.